Welcome to Those Guys Sports. It's your boy Mike, and it is my Raptors Weekly podcast. Once again, I'm doing it through a Zoom thing, and I'm gonna have a better camera. But as you can see, the guys behind me, you see a little bit of Fred, and you see the Pascal, Scotty Barnes, because in this Raptors Weekly, we gotta there's so much we can talk about, but we gotta talk about the main event. The main event being that the Raptors have finally, after weeks upon weeks of not having a head coach, the Raptors have found him. I'm gonna mess up his name. I'm gonna mess up his name. Before I even say his name, make sure you like and subscribe. Raptor fans, make sure you like and subscribe. Let's talk about this new Raptors coach. We're probably gonna call him Darko or Coach Darko for the time being. But Darko Rajakovic. Darko Rajakovic. That's how I'm going to pronounce it right now. Hopefully, when his press conference comes in, they ask him the proper way he would like his name to be sounded, because we want to respect our new coach. And no matter what, I want to respect anybody with their last name, and I want to respect him and his last name. So I want to say Coach Darko is now the new Raptors coach. Now let's talk about his history. He had history in OKC. He has history in Memphis. And those two are his most prominent roles. And those are the roles that people are saying why the Raptors have got him. Because what he did with those two squads is that he worked with the young guys and he did develop young guys. That's why Masai and Bobby did it. Masai and Bobby were trying to find someone who was going to help develop the young players. Like Masai had said, they don't feel they gotten everything they need to get from Malachi Flynn, Delano Banton, heck of Scotty Barnes. They don't feel they use the young talent the way they wanted to use the young talent. And Darko is going to use the young talent. So first of all, congratulations to this coach, Coach Darko. You're with the Raptors. I feel bad because Raptor fans are never happy about anything. So welcome to that. Welcome to being questioned for every move you make, which I think it's probably the role of a coach to constantly be questioned. So he's probably going to get used to that very quickly. He probably has people within the circle, people he can talk to, who will tell him, like, hey, as a coach, just know that you're always wrong until you win a title. You're always wrong. Doesn't matter who you are. You're always going to be wrong. And he's probably always going to be wrong, no matter what. But that's our new Raptors head coach, Darko Rajakovic, Coach Darko. Like I said, histories with OKC, a history with Memphis. I believe he's with Monty Williams as well. With Phoenix, he's also in Phoenix as well. So it's like this guy knows how to build young talent. And that's what this Raptors team needs. It needs someone who to build young talent. I don't want to talk about your ex-girlfriend. I don't want to talk about, but we're going to talk about it. Let's talk about Nick Nurse. And speaking about Nick Nurse, what I want to kind of chime into, a lot of people want to say that Nick Nurse was the best coach of Raptors history. Like, yeah, they won a title, so why wouldn't he be considered the best coach? He won most of the years. The only years was the Tampa year, and last year was a disappointing year for a lot of people. So I can see all that. Now, where I want to kind of get into, the one thing, there's a few things that I wasn't the biggest fan with Nick Nurse, but the number one thing that I felt was wrong with Nick Nurse is that he didn't develop any players. I believe the best coach of Raptor history is Dwayne Casey. Now we can talk about the fact that people like Pascal and Freddie really became all-stars with a Nick Nurse, but that was just the forward progression. The one thing that this Raptors team had, it had development coaches. It had coaches that wanted to develop the young guys. It had a Dwayne Casey who wanted to develop a bench, develop the young guys, and I just don't see it here. I didn't see it here with Nick Nurse. I don't think you want to develop guys. I think you made a mistake, he hooked you, and you didn't play again. And I know some coaches only play like 7, 8 guys, but I kind of like seeing the growth of the young players. I love seeing the growth of a Pirtle at one point, DeLon Wright, a Norman Powell, an OG Anunoby, a Pascal, a Fred. I loved seeing the growth in these young players, and I felt like you didn't get to see that. Heck, we saw growth in Kyle Lowry's game and DeMar DeRozan's game. So we were seeing growth throughout, Dwayne Casey's tenure, where I feel with Nick Nurse, I don't see the same growth. I think that's like one of my biggest problem with Nick Nurse, if not the biggest problem I had with Nick Nurse. And that's why I kind of feel like Nick Nurse joined the Philadelphia 76ers with most veterans, with people that he can trust a little bit more than trusting the young guys. I think that's what the team he needs. I think he needs to be with the championship team. I'm not sure if, and I could be completely wrong. Of course, maybe one day if he ever leaves Philadelphia, he'll be with a really young team. But I just want to see how he will be with a young building block team, a team that's not quite there yet, but with growth and development, they can be there. What this new coach, what Coach Darko can bring, he's gonna bring the grit that he had in Memphis. He's gonna bring the savviness that he also had in Memphis. The one thing you hear he's talked about, the one thing many people talk about, and when he speaks of the growth of teams, he talks about a confidence, a swag, as you may, with a team. And that's something I feel the Raptors were lacking. They didn't have that confidence. They didn't have that belief that they were the better team on the court. I believe at one point they had it, but then they kind of lost that mojo. Where I think Darko's going to provide that mojo, especially with the young guys, and that's what I'm most looking forward to seeing with the Darko. I want to see him with the young guy. I want to see him. Is there a little bit of more space for a Malachi? Is there something else? Because I think there's something else. I think Malachi could be a very quality backup point guard, 15 minutes a game. I can see it. DeLon Banton, I'm not too sure. I've watched some tape of DeLon Banton. I still think there's some potential. I feel like there's some DeLon Wright in him. But I think it's all about his shot. If he can be a person that we believe can average, he has to average like 37 to 40% 3-point shooting, then I believe he has more to his game, or a really good jumper like a Sean Livingston. They just did a highlight on ESPN of Sean Livingston. A guy like that is what I can kind of see the projection of DeLon Banton, but he's still young. You don't have to always put a ceiling on someone, but if we had to put a floor, that's a pretty good floor, right? And I see Malachi Flynn. I know a lot of people have tried to say like his game resembles like a Chris Paul. Can a Coach Darko bring that out? The real person that everyone's been talking about, and then when they talk about Coach Darko and what he can bring to this squad, is that the one thing he really likes is passing the ball a little bit more. He likes for everyone to get their hands on the ball. Everyone get that touch. Everyone feel the ball in your hand. He likes having top assist teams. And when he was with the Phoenix Suns, when he was with the Memphis Grizzlies, they all boasted a top 10, top like 12 offense top 10 assists. That's what they all did, right? And quite frankly, they were all pretty good defensively too. With the Grizzlies, are a top 10 defense, probably because they had a Dylan Brooks and a Jaren Jackson Jr. So then the defense can travel there. The defense can go with there. Now, so I believe this coach and the person that everyone can kind of see him developing and making a much better player is Scotty Barnes. I believe Coach Darko and Scotty Barnes will have a great relationship because I think he's going to allow Scotty to be the best version of himself. I don't believe Scotty wants to score 25, 30 points a game. I don't believe so. I think if he has to, he will. Where I see Scotty Barnes wants to do is make sure that everyone's involved, everyone's active defensively, but I also can see that he probably wants the ball in his hands to dictate where that should go. But even if the ball's in his hands and it falls into the end of the shot clock, I think Scotty Barnes will make the right decision. And that's what I think this coach has brought here to do. Bring the right decision for the Toronto Raptors, which they vitally need, and I don't believe that, especially during the end, that we got that from Nick Nurse, especially because I've always hated the calling out. I know some Raptor fans really hate the call out. I hated the call outs. Don't call out all your players, and you can call them out, you can speak to them, but the consistency in calling them out wasn't a fan of. Didn't really like that. Wasn't a fan, and I'm not too sure if this coach can do the same. I don't believe so. Another thing that when you read reports about Darko, not only is going to build the young guys, especially someone like a Scotty Barnes, you can see his history. He's been coaching for the last like 20 plus years, and you can tell Masai and Bobby have a type. They want someone who has history of coaching overseas and has some coaching of the G League and potentially the NBA. They want that. You can tell they didn't want like a vet. I don't think they wanted a vet coach. They wanted a coach that can mold their own coaching styles and mold their own youth and experience into this new role. They really wanted that new voice, and I believe that's what they got with a Coach Darko. I believe that he can be a good coach. Now, and that's only from what I've seen him do with the growth of the Memphis Grizzlies. Look at all the young talent they have. Everyone feels like they're like a talent away from becoming something. With the Phoenix Suns, he was there for that bubble season. So you believe that this guy has the ability to coach these young guys and make them a lot better. So that's what I kind of want to see in regards to a coach, Darko. And I believe that's what Masai and Bobby were looking for. They needed a guy who could help this team. They needed a guy who can help the young guys. Like I really believe it's something that Bobby and Masai. That's why it took so long. This coaching search took really long, and that's the reason. I think they were. I thought it was going to be uh Scolio. What's his name? In Italy. I really thought it was going to be him. I'm pronouncing his name horribly today. But I really thought he was going to be the Raptors head coach. The way things were going, but now his team is down 0-2 in the finals. I think they decided to probably go to a different, which they clearly did. They went to a different person. But I really thought that, he was about to be the Raptors head coach, had previous experience with the Raptors. I thought that there was a Charles Lee, who's now an assistant coach for the Boston Celtics. He just became the lead assistant. I really thought they were going to go Kenny Atkins, like that route, but it actually didn't happen. But this is a good move. This is a good move. Raptor fans, we don't know. We don't know what this coach can be. If history shows, and you can see from former players, which that happens all the time, but where they go like, "Oh, congrats, coach. I hope great things for you." But if it's what we're seeing, well, you only hear good things, which is really good. If I worry about anything, is how good of a coach defensively can he be? It seems like with Taylor Jenkins and the Memphis Grizzlies, he handled more of the offense, where Taylor handled more of the defense. So then that's what he needs to get a defensive-minded assistant coach. His lead assistant should be defensive oriented. So that's the one thing that I would say that I worry about in regards to all this. Now, in saying that, you never know. We all thought Nick Nurse was going to be this offensive tactician. He's going to make this offensive much better, whatever. But ultimately, his calling card was the defensive side. He made he did some crazy things defensively, where he focused so much on shutting down the other team's best player, playing, some would say, wonky defenses. He did all that, and that was a pretty fun to see sometimes. When it worked, it was very creative, and everyone loved it. And some people would say, some of the reasons why they had won the NBA championship when they did, not only the fact that Kawhi Leonard, but Nick Nurse was doing things that many believed Dwayne Casey wouldn't have done, and I can kind of see that as well. Where with Coach Darko, there's no NBA experience, none, like no head coaching experience. We don't know what to expect. Well, some people have talked about language barrier being a problem. He speaks English, so move on. And basketball could be taught to a deaf person, so you don't need to speak English to know how to play basketball. So don't do that. If you know basketball, you know basketball. If you know how to play basketball, you know how to play basketball. If you can be coached, you can be coached. It really doesn't matter how all that is done. If a person's good at it, that's what matters the most. His talent is what's going to make the Raptors be a good team in the future. So that's what you're hoping for when it comes to this new head coach for the Toronto Raptors. Now, I feel like I just went on a big spiel. Now, what does that mean for the Raptors? Where do we go from here? The reason why they also got this guy, because they wanted to know, is this going to be a person who could lead young guys, or can this guy lead a veteran team? They wanted someone who can do both. They wanted a guy who could influence both sides of the spectrums. Now, I don't know what the Raptors are going to do. We can make predictions, which I will, obviously, because it's all we can really do with the draft coming up. And, at the end of give us like 3-4 weeks, the Raptors roster will probably be made up already for the next coming season. We don't know what's going to happen. But that's what they really wanted with this guy. So where are the Raptors going to go from here? Well, let's see the type of coaches he gets. He's going to need some veteran coaches, some veteran, especially defensive-minded coaches. Probably bring some guys from the Grizzlies if he could. Some people from Phoenix or OKC, people he trusted. But I do believe he needs some veteran leadership to be beside him. Maybe he brings back an Earl Watson. I think he may be coming back. I've heard already rumors that we're losing Rico Hines. I'm not sure if it's completely true, but that kind of sucks because you already see the Pascal videos of him and Rico and Earl Watson. And sometimes when I see those things, I'm thinking like, is Pascal going to leave? Because I feel like Pascal's all about comfort, and if these guys make him a better player and that's who he's comfortable with, I probably feels like he's gonna go where he feels the most comfort. And I think um an Earl Watson or Rico Hines brings. I'm hoping he can bring guys similar to that who can really help this team out, because I think this team is going to need a lot of help. They really are. With a rookie coach, yes, the last time we had a rookie coach, we won the NBA title, but we also had a monster trade to help us out. Is there time for another monster trade? Could be. Who knows? In my last video, my video yesterday, I had spoken about the fact that Dame Lillard could be someone the Raptors can target. Now, they'd have to trade their 13th pick, most likely an OG. OG, maybe a Fred, like a sign and trade for the Fred. So that team would have, Fred, OG, 13th pick. And you got to probably trade two more future picks if you ever wanted to get a Dame Lillard. I mean, like, that's getting a superstar player. They're talking about Cat being feeling a type of way. So you may want to get someone, if you already get someone like that. I'm not saying to get Cat at all. I'm chilling on all of that. But if the Raptors were trying to make a swing move, that could be a move they make. I'll get to my prediction of what I think the Raptors are going to do. Today is whatever day, and today is a new prediction of what the Raptors can do. And quite frankly, we have no idea at all what this Raptors team can do. They may change everything and decide to blow it all up and not trade for anyone but, of course, Scotty. Maybe keep an OG, maybe not. Maybe one day you hope to draft an OG again. It's hard to always find people like that, but maybe that's something that these guys are gonna look to do. Now, in saying that, let's talk about what's next. Next is Fred VanVleet. I think he has until the 15th of June to sign. Sign that last year of his contract or opt out. We most likely believe he's going to opt out. Same thing with Gary. I think he has until the 20th, right before draft day, to opt in or out. We have, I think Thad Young has to do, no, Thad Young's, I think, at the end of the month. So they'll already have the draft where some people are already thinking maybe Thad Young is someone you package for a second round draft pick, something like that, or you have to trade a few players. They have Joe Wieskamp in the books. There's a few guys, that are in the books as a whole. So you're trying to figure out the Raptors' next move. Now, who knows? You never know. When you think the Raptors are going left, they go right. Then they're going straight, they go south. Like who knows? I think, Bobby Masai, they are trying to figure out what's best for the team. I just read a report, like just now, that the Raptors are trying to retool and not rebuild. I've always agreed with that. I'm not a fan of rebuilding, not a fan of tanking. I understand that Victor and Scoo and Brandon Miller are part of the draft. I get that, but I want to win games. I don't really want to lose. I know we always want to compete for a title, and that's the main goal. But sometimes things just don't always happen the way you want it to happen. Look at the Miami Heat; they're not going to win the title. Look, the Denver Nuggets are there. I'm filming this before I know, so if they already won, they already won. But those are things that factor. Those things matter on the grand scheme of things. And now, when I'm thinking about what's going to happen next and what you believe that can happen next, like I said, Fred is the first domino. He's going to opt out. This is the best year for him to opt out. He's going to have a lot of people interested: Orlando, Houston, Philadelphia. LA couldn't do it. They would have to do a sign and trade. A few teams would have to do a sign and trade. I think even Orlando, I think, has cap space, but they have to do sign and trade. But there's other teams that don't have to. Houston doesn't have to. They have cap space. Fred has options. Like I honestly think that Chris Paul deciding to get waived, he's gonna get waived, or whatever happens with Chris Paul. Him going to free agency is gonna be the best thing that happens to Fred VanVleet, because it makes the market want him more. Where you may think that, if he's the only one, then his market's higher. No. You have to realize that you're like bidding, like the bid is just harder now, because you can also get Chris Paul, but other teams are fighting for Chris Paul. So Fred VanVleet's the second best way, or Kyrie, but I don't think a lot of teams want Kyrie. But like those three guys, those 3-point guards, are probably the best three guys that are about to go into this year's free agency, besides Chris Middleton. But if you can get one of those guys, you can do whatever you can to fight to get one of those guys. And I'm pretty sure Chris Middleton, Milwaukee's going to try to resign him. I don't think they're going to waste time because Giannis likes him. You got a new head coach. You really want to get over the hump and win a title. So I can see something like this. So Fred's going to opt out. Gary's opting out as well. Once again, he can make good money, big money here. I don't know what that whole Gary plan is. Pirtle is going to get re-signed. For sure, Pirtle's going to get re-signed. So, and then you still got someone like that young. Now, I don't know what Raptor fans think. I know some of them want to basically keep him to use as a salary filler and trade him to somewhere else. I personally really like that young. I think he is a really good player, and that's not someone I would trade. I think every team needs veteran leadership. I think they need someone who's been through some playoff battle. They need someone who's been through just tough games. I think if you're a coach, you want someone like that young on your squad. So I believe, especially for a new coach like a Darko coming, I believe that he would want someone like a Thad Young to kind of like be that second coach, or not second coach, but like the player coach, help everyone, which I think he did this year. So I just would want that again. So that is someone who I would want to keep. People are saying that, you're not going to keep all three. And I think they're right. I don't think they're keeping all three. If you ask me today, if I have to be a betting man, I don't think Fred is staying. I think Fred is leaving. I would be not shocked either way, but I'm definitely leaning more that he's gonna leave. I think draft day is gonna be huge for the Raptors. What I'm hoping to see from the Raptors on draft day is that they try to get at least a second round pick. Not to say this draft is going to be the best draft like ever, but you go for a second round pick. I would love if you brought in Imani Bates, just because this guy was touted as like the actual future. Before you guys ever heard of Victor, before Victor Wembanyama was that guy, Imani Bates was him. That's why like Golden State have a guy named Patrick Baldwin Jr. Like that guy, he's young. He was like a top five, high school recruit. He just had some things happen, and I think it was Colorado or Cal, one of the two, that didn't go his way. Where I believe that, getting Imani Bates, who once again didn't go his way. Having that young raw talent, a guy that everyone believed was about to be the future of the NBA, that's good for you. If you don't get him, you try to get something else. Try to get someone with like the upside is good, or someone who could be a role player right now, like Denver's Christian Braun. Like having someone who you can play at the current moment could help this team going forward, especially if you believe that the NBA is still wide open. We just need luck on our side to be a Miami Heat, because who's to say luck wasn't on Miami Heat side? Yeah, they beat Giannis and Milwaukee and New York and then Boston, but who says luck wasn't on their side a little bit? They were down like 5 with like 5 minutes to go against Chicago. I think down more. So like luck can play a role in all this. Yeah, so I believe with this new coach, I don't know if the direction still. I think the one thing you can say for sure, the direction is to help the young guys. So I know Donald Banton his contract is up, or you have to like sign him. I believe he'll get signed. I think you can. I don't know what kind of contract you can sign him, but why not sign him to a 1 year, bet on yourself kind of contract? So 1 year, like 4 or 5 million. Could put something like that on your books, and then you got to play him though. You have to play him. The thing is, this season is so crucial because Pascal is a free agent. OG is a free agent. Most of their books are up like after next year. They have a ton of cap space next year. But that all get situated at once. You re-sign a Pascal. You got to re-sign Scotty too. I think his contract is about to be up. So Scotty, Pascal, and OG are about to get paid. Now you got to think about a Fred. Do you want to add that with Fred? Because then you're about to be a team that with the new CBA will be on your first apron or potentially second apron. So really, you can't really, build your squad the way you want to, because you're not going to have enough space contract-wise for all these players. So I expect like something like that to happen as well for the Raptors team, and that's what probably Masai and Bobby are thinking about, is that they can't pay everyone. As much as you want to keep a good team. The way the new CBA is, unless players are taking a pay cut and everyone's willing to get paid like way under the max, like you can't do it all because Pascal, if he makes All NBA, he can get a max. OG, I think, is now qualified for the max because he made an All NBA defensive team. Scotty Barnes, he is gonna get a rookie scale max. Like it's still all these players are gonna get some sort of a max. So I don't know if this new CBA helps out the Raptors the way it should. Um, then of course there's Gary. How much does Gary want? Gary wants to believe in his role. What is his role with a new coach? I don't believe once again some of these guys want to play with Nick Nurse anymore. Now having this new coach, what does that tell you about everyone else? Now, if I gotta go prediction, I'll do this. I'll say what I want. What I want the Raptors to do, I want them to keep a Pascal Siakam, keep Barnes, and keep OG. And then everything else you just kind of see what the market tells you. As much as I like to keep a Fred, you got to see what the market tells you. You don't want to overpay. You can't overpay for a Fred. But Fred is about to get paid. I'm telling you, he's going to get paid because people are going to think he's needed because Chris Paul is older. So you're trying to think, you know what? Fred is younger. I can keep him longer. So Fred is about to get paid. Gary may get, I don't know. I don't think the market's going to be as crazy for Gary as people may think. So once again, if you can do a bet on yourself, that would be much better. Mind you, if Fred and Gary decide to opt in, you got to just keep it going because then you have to trade them, and that's just a whole other situation that could happen. Now, the one thing if Fred leaves, I would hope for a sign and trade. I hope it's just not straight out. I hope if you're doing any Fred VanVleet trade, it's for a sign and trade. If it's for like Orlando Magic, then you got to get like a Cole Anthony and like maybe you get like a Caleb Houston. That'd be fingers crossed. But that's something that could happen with the Raptors. I know people are talking about a Pascal for that number 3 overall pick and for Portland. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm the biggest fan of that trade. Houston's going to want to trade the 4th pick. And once Houston trades the 4th pick, just know that they're signing James Harden. Like that's what they're definitely planning on doing. They may try to go, they have cap space. They may try to sign him. You can still sign Fred because you have enough money. Maybe like I don't know what they do with Jalen Green or something. Because I'm not sure if those 3 dynamics are going to work too much. But something that you gotta have in the back of your mind, right? So if you trade a Fred, that's what could happen. Hopefully it's a sign and trade. So like I said, what I want is to keep Pascal, OG, and Barnes. Play around those guys. You got to keep a Pirtle because you can't lose the asset and really trade a draft pick for it. So you got to keep them. Fred, see what the market says, and Gary, see what the market says. See what the market. If the market's saying too much, then you don't do it. Simple. You just don't do it. If the market's saying it's too much, you don't do it at all. You don't do it at all. So that's what I would like to see happen. I would like to see them. They have some like mid-level exceptions. I'm hoping they can like split the mid-level and get like 2 guys. The mid-level is like $14 million. I don't believe you have to use all that on one person. I believe that you can split it. But I could be wrong. And they have the biannual, like 4 million on the biannual. So to me, let's see if you can get like a flyer of a person. You don't need to sign someone to a one-on-one contract. Just sign them for the 1 year. Hopefully something come out of someone who wants to prove himself, get themselves some minutes, and hopefully play future. Someone like a Bruce Brown, you won't be able to sign because he may be signing for something. So, which is why I don't think the market's going to be high for Gary, because people are watching Bruce Brown do what he did, and I just think like people are gonna look at Bruce and be like, okay, that's the guy we want. Where Gary, I don't believe ended the season as well as he wanted to probably, and I don't think that's gonna be something that he's not gonna get 20 plus mil. That's not happening. Gary's not getting 20 plus mil, so it's kind of like you gotta wait and see for that. But yeah, that's what I want. What I think is gonna happen, if you ask me a prediction right now, I think we'll know everything on draft day. Draft day is going to be the tell-all. It's going to be a tell-all because either I'm actually going to about to trade for some multiple picks, but I think that draft day is going to be a tell-all for the Raptors. I think whatever someone provides them something that's really good. Portland's trading the pick. I think they're trading it. They're not keeping the pick. If they're keeping Dame, they're not keeping the pick. You can't keep both. You're not putting Brandon Miller with Dame. You're not keeping Scoot with Dame. Whoever gets drafted there, you're not keeping it. Because you already have Shaden Sharp. Mind you, they don't want to trade Shaden Sharp. So to me, it's like Portland's a whole other issue. But if I'm Portland, honestly, I'm saying thank you, Dame, and I'm trading. I'm trading Dame for some draft picks. I build around. I would build around the Scoot if we were able to draft Scoot and Shaden Sharp. Team of the future. That's a new OKC. I have my draft picks. I'm good. So if I'm Portland, but if you're keeping Dame and you really want to build a contender, they're already saying reports of a cat. Defensively wouldn't be a great, but you kind of think of why not. And then he really likes OG. It's either an OG or a Mikal Bridges. Okay, I would love to trade you. Who do you want? You want I'll trade you a lot. Let's as long as it's not Scotty. I'm thinking, so if you put me on a list, I'm going Barnes first. I'm not trading and Pascal. I'm not trading those two guys. Everyone else can get traded. Everyone's on the block. So if you're saying it's OG, I probably have to give you like my 13th pick and something else, and probably more things for. Well, I'm giving you that. You're giving me the third overall pick or Dame or whatever. I think it's worth it. Maybe some Anthony Simons. Ultimately, what they could really do is trade Anthony Simons at for OG, and I think that wouldn't be bad. Now, people in Toronto are going to be like, "Why would you do that? OG is this, that, and that." And I've said it, and I'm gonna say it again. I love OG. I think he's a good player. And I'm gonna say, but once you say but, you want to eliminate everything you just said in the past. Now, with OG, he has all the talent in the world. To me, he is who he is. I believe he's an 18-point scorer. I don't believe there's more. I believe the best version of him is this. He may believe there's more, like a Mikal Bridges type leap, and you can't fault someone for believing in that. Why not? He's still very young. We could see something. But I think, we saw what, Jeremy Grant did, and I can see that. That's if he was on a team, he could score 20 plus points a game, but you're not doing anything for the squad. Like, you're really not. So I think that's OG in a nutshell. I think OG is a good player, but I don't believe I believe that's it. I just don't believe there's more to all that. And I don't want to believe, like, I don't believe, I just don't believe it. I don't think OG's that. And I think it's okay that he's not. We looked at someone like Aaron Gordon, and look, see what he's done. The thing is, OG can be who he is now. The Raptors can make the finals, and OG can still give you Aaron Gordon numbers. He can still give you 27 points because OG is still going to be an option offensively. So just because he averages 18 points doesn't mean he's a horrible option. There's just days he may score 25 and days he may score 12. That's really it. And that's not a bad thing. So that's something that I could potentially predict that they do, because as much as you love OG, you want to think to yourself, you know what, like, we were searching hard to find an OG, but I think it's because of bad decisions that we've made as a Raptors organization. But now I can see it, like, you can find something else. Or, there's someone in Precious who you can build on. Or maybe you trade a Precious Achua for a first round draft pick. Maybe a late first round, not a first, maybe a late first rounder and some random player from another team. Maybe the Clippers are like, hey, Toronto, we steal everything else. We have a late draft pick. Do you want it? Here you go. Like, maybe do something like that. Like I said, second round picks, you can trade for some second round picks that people have been traded for a lot less. You could trade a Malachi Flynn for a second round pick. So I just believe that there's something out there the Raptors could do. And I don't believe they're going to stay quiet. I do believe they'll try to get a second round pick. That's one thing I believe, because Masai's all about young talent and the growth of this team. So if he can get more young talent, the better I believe he'll believe that team is. When you have a new coach in Coach Darko, then you're thinking this guy wants the young talent, right? He wants to see what these guys can do. He wants to grow their game. I think in a free-flowing offense, I believe that benefits a Scotty Barnes. It benefits a Pascal Siakam. Heck, it benefits an OG, like an actual free-flowing offense, even though Nick Nurse said the same thing. But offense with, like, reason. I feel like the Raptors offense was free-flowing because it was kind of like whoever has the ball, ISO it. This would be more free flowing. It's like everyone gets the ball, everyone's gonna get their touch, and we're gonna see what happens. Mind you, that still happened. Josh still averaged over 24 points a game. Desmond Bain averaged his career high. So did Jaren Jackson Jr. So it's not like the offense still wasn't three guys primarily. It was just still a lot of ball movement that circled around those three. And I feel like the Raptors circled around Pascal, Barnes, and OG while putting as much shooters as they can, the better. Even a Chris Boucher may get you. I think Chris Boucher for sure can get you a first round pick. A guy who can come off the bench, be a 6th, 7th man on a good quality team. I can see all that. So I don't know, man. This Raptors team, it's gonna be fun, man. The draft. I'm gonna do a draft day podcast. I'm probably not gonna deep dive on the players as much as I know most of the players are in the draft, I didn't watch so much of the game to be like, this is the guy the Raptors should get. This is the guy right here. Where I looked into it the most was more of what do the Raptors need. So I'm gonna say point guard and a shooting guard. So as long as they draft one of those two, I'm happy. I really don't care what or where it is, but as long as they get a point guard or shooting guard, I'm good. Because once again, I still believe in building for the future. And if your future is who, always remember this. Fred was never a part of the plans. Fred VanVleet was never part of the future plans as point guard. He just became it because of his hard work. So if you can get someone on the 13th pick who could be a really good shooting guard or point guard of the future, I like that. Pair him up with Scotty Barnes for the future of this team. But quite honestly, like I said, I don't want to be losing. I don't want to really tank. We don't have next year's draft pick, so we really have no incentive of tanking unless you get someone other team's draft pick for next year. You have really no incentive of tanking. But you want to be a good team, and that's what you want this team to be, is a really, really good team. Now you can tank and pray that you get the 6th pick. I mean, the 1 to 6. So that's what you're praying for. But the chances if you don't get it, you lost in your tank season was all for nothing just for San Antonio to get a top 10 draft pick. You don't want all that. You want a pick that's like, you want to be good. Because mind if the Raptors are the 20th, if they're pretty good and they're the 20th, 21st pick next year, it's going to go to San Antonio. Goes to San Antonio, better. And if you get a 1 to 6, then I think they get like 2 second round or something like that. So the Jakob Poeltl part wasn't that bad anyway. So, but all in all, you have to sign Jakob. You got to see what the market says about a Gary and a Fred, and you just try to build around Pascal and Scotty Barnes, because now I have expectations for Scotty Barnes. I never had it last season. Anyone who had expectations of Scotty Barnes, that's like a fugazi thing to think about. That's crazy. In his second year, man won Rookie of the Year. All you want him to do is just improve in his basketball IQ, honestly. And I believe this year that could happen. I'm hoping the coach, shout out to the new coach, Darko RAJAKOVIC. I'm hoping that this guy will bring new methods. I'm hoping it'll be a more positive influence on the squad. I'm hoping that the players gravitate to his style of offense and things like that. But yeah, that's really it for me. I probably talked a lot. So thank you guys for listening. Probably be more things to talk about. Probably my next Raptors podcast will be mostly focused on the draft, because the draft is coming. Literally, not this coming Thursday, the following Thursday, because the NBA finals is done. Probably by the time you watch this, it could be done. So yeah, just like and subscribe. Follow on social media platforms. This is the Raptors Weekly Podcast with your boy Mike, and I'll talk to you again soon. Peace.